Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another video for Fear the Walking Dead, our last sort of Q&A video for it, leading up to the mid-season finale tonight. In this one, we're going to start with giving our thoughts of whether or not we think Madison will return to the current timeline or could possibly be killed off. And I'll put the link in the description to an article from digitalspy.com where they have an interview with Domingo, who plays Strand in Fear the Walking Dead, and how the mid-season finale tonight is going to change the show forever. And it was also quoted as him saying that this one is really going to blow your mind. Domingo said, "I watched it yesterday in my hotel room and had an ugly cry." So I mean, that at least that's what I'm personally looking at. Is I'm personally looking at what they're going to do with Madison tonight, because as we know from the current timeline, she is not there with the others. So she either got separated or was killed off. We pretty much know now that she's not with the Vultures. They hadn't captured her or anything like that because we didn't get to see her there. So that pretty much means to me, I mean, one or the other. Either she's out there and she's going to be reunited with our group from Fear in the current timeline, or she was killed off, and that's why everybody was so kind of pissed off or so wanting to go after the Vultures. So, it's really interesting to see. Now, in terms of the pictures they've released a whole bunch of pictures, and there's some different teasers and things like that, which I'll just show some pictures here with the thumbnail and stuff like that so you guys get to see. I mean, there's some pictures of her in and around. I can't tell if there's some in the actual current timeline of her. Some people think they are, because they use kind of two different filters for Fear the Walking Dead, for the kind of stadium timeline, which tends to be a bit more colorful, and then the kind of current timeline, which tends to be a bit more gray or washed out. It tends to be a bit more old school horror movie, black and white. It's got like a tint to it, a kind of a gray filter tint to it, which is nice. I can't tell from the pictures, to be honest with you guys, whether or not we're seeing those pictures of her, in the stadium timeline. It kind of looks like it to me, it's stadium, or if it could be in the current timeline. So I think here, with this episode tonight, it's got to be one or the other. They can't really let, or at least I don't think they would let, this kind of outstanding sort of topic go into the second half, because there will be the break, and then of course Fear the Walking Dead will probably return around August-ish time frame, and then when it does return in August, I mean, I would think that with the second half of season 4, we'll be on to some kind of new storyline. I don't know if the Vultures will even really be involved that much with it, because it did kind of seem like the Fear group sort of got the best of the Vultures there in that kind of exchange, and they were able to kill the leader of the Vultures. They were able to kind of push him back and get away just fine. And then in the teaser tonight, we can see that Alicia and the others are actually after Morgan and the others as they're going into the stadium to try to get Laura, it sounds like, or Naomi. So let's go through the interview and see all the different things that he said here, because again, like I'm just saying basically all that to say, I can't tell from the pictures if she is in fact going to return to the current timeline or if she's killed off at the end of the stadium timeline. But this interview, I think, is a bit telling for what we can expect tonight from Domingo. It says, quote unquote, "A lot has been going on with all the time jumps, and now we're going to come to a culmination of all the reasons why the story had to be told in that way. Why Alicia, Luciana, and I are as vicious as we are," he told Entertainment Weekly on its Entertainment Weekly morning live radio show. So let's stop there for a second. So, I mean, when you read that and you think to yourself about mid-season finale and why they had to kind of do it in this way, they wanted to have, I suppose, a big character death at the mid-season finale is what I'm thinking, and Madison's not in the current timeline, so I don't know. Based on what he's saying here, that really sounds like Madison might be killed off tonight. Then it says, quote-unquote, "all the reasons will come to light." So if the Vultures killed Madison, then I would think that that's why they would be so vicious, right? That makes sense to me. So, and I'm hoping I'm wrong with this. Like, I'm hoping that they don't kill Madison, because I think that she's one of the only real surviving characters of that first season of the original Fear group, and with them losing Nick this season already, if they lose her as well too, they have basically rebooted Fear. It kind of, right now it has a feel like Alicia and the others are villains to Morgan, and it kind of feels like, it's just a straight, it's definitely different from what I thought we were going to see this season with Fear. I can say that. Season 4 of Fear has been totally different from what I thought we were going to see. Then it says the episode, which is directed by Michael Satrazemis, which is good because he's a Walking Dead director and he's fantastic, who directed the John Dorie and Naomi backstory episode, Laura, will end the two timeline structure the show has been using. So anybody who's been annoyed with the two timelines as they're going through, it sounds like they're going to culminate now in this mid-season finale, which is good. I feel like they use that technique to about the maximum you're going to be able to get out of it, to the point where some people even got kind of annoyed by it. I've been enjoying it. I think it's kind of been a different take for Walking Dead, something totally different than what we've seen before. And depending on how the payoff works tonight in the mid-season finale, it could be big and it could be really sad. So, and that means we'll finally find out some more about how the characters got to where they are now. Then there's the part that I read before to you guys about the ugly cry. And then it says there are some disastrous things that will happen, and it's going to be gripping, and it's going to change the course of the show forever. As if the show hasn't changed enough already in Season 4, right? I mean, I guess I should say I'm just glad Fear the Walking Dead is still on based on how it was doing in Season 3 and kind of the buzz around it. I guess I'm glad that they have tried to reinvent the show. They've done just about everything they can to try to get viewers into the series, and they've had some huge character deaths this season. They've killed off more of the original core cast of characters than The Walking Dead had done by Season 4. I mean, if you think back to Season 4 of the original series of Walking Dead, they had killed off a good number in Season 3, like you're talking Lori and T-Dog and some of the others as well, too, of those original kind of surviving cast. But, I mean, it's pretty crazy just to think, just like for Fear the Walking Dead, how few survivors are left from that first season, from that initial group that there was when the series had started. And if they kill Madison off tonight, man, that's going to be absolutely nuts, right? That's going to be like, wow. It's basically a new show. If they kill Madison off, pretty much going into the second half of Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, it's basically a new series, is pretty much what I'm saying. It's pretty much an entirely new show, because then you only have Luciana, who really, I mean, she wasn't even a main, really, like a main core cast character in the first season. She just, like, or even Season 3, just like Season 2, she had some time with Nick, but as a supporting role. Then Strand, who came in at the end of the first season, right? Or, well, the first season was short, but, he came in the first season, so I guess you can count him as legitimate, old school, OG Fear survivor. And then Alicia, and that's it. Aside from that, it's basically a new show. So at this point, I'm hoping out of the three, Strand and Alicia, if they kill Madison off, those two should be safe for pretty much the duration of the series. If either of those two are killed off, I mean, you have basically a reboot in those type of movies that I personally don't like to watch because I find them useless, which is horror movies where they kill off everyone. Like there isn't even like one survivor in the entire movie, right? By the time you get to the end of the movie, they've killed off effectively the entire cast. And I never really liked those types of movies. I always felt disappointed by them because I always felt like, why did I just watch this if everybody just dies? It's like the villain wins totally and everyone dies and there's just no point to watch it, right? So it's annoying. So that's a big thing I'm watching for tonight, guys, is whether or not Madison is going to return to the current timeline and survive, which I hope is what we're going to see. But based on this interview right here and kind of everything this is going through here, it could be one way, it could be the other. And I hope he's kind of just, throwing us off here, and that Madison will kind of be reborn in this episode. Like, we'll find her in the mid-season finale, and in the current timeline, she'll be alive. And just having been, held up in the infirmary or something at the stadium, kind of locked herself in or something, and got separated from the others. That's what I'm hoping for, but based on this interview, that does not sound like that's what we're going to see. So leave a comment below for that one, guys. It's tonight's episode. It's been going on for a while now. We've been discussing whether or not Madison is going to be alive or not in the current timeline, and certainly leave a comment below so that I can see what you guys think about this one leading into tonight's episode. McCaber said, and I just have a few questions for today for Fear, guys. Most of the stuff is related to Walking Dead, and I've done lots of videos this week for the Rick situation. So McCaber says, Charlie said even the vultures didn't dare go into the infirmary. I think she's holed up in there, and I hope McCaber's right. I really hope that she is alive somehow here and that Madison's character will continue in Fear, because otherwise basically Morgan's taken over Fear, and That's just what's happening. It looks like. Let's see. Boring 2 says, "Hey Trev, do you think we could see the Capitol or White House building in The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead?" So in the Walking Dead universe, really for the TV series version. So something like that. I don't think we'll ever really see that because that's something that you'd probably have to do in like a big budget movie because of the costs involved. That's always a concern with Walking Dead or with Fear is the costs involved, right? It's expensive to do this type of series. At the end of the day, they're just TV series, so they don't have the same kind of budget as like a movie would. The original Walking Dead, I'm sure they give it lots of more now because it's so popular. But for Fear, they kind of have to keep it, under control. Like they have to keep their costs, I would think, probably reasonable because Fear gets a few million viewers a week, but it's not like, The Walking Dead was a couple years ago where it might be getting 15 million viewers a week. If you're getting 15 million viewers a week live, US, then you can afford to do some big things like that and show some big environments and stuff like that. But for stuff like Fear, you can't really afford to do that, right? It's going to be too difficult to do. Even Season 3, I'm surprised in Season 3, Fear was able to do some of the stuff that they did because it was a pretty crazy season with everything they had to do, building the whole ranch and all the other stuff. I guess that's not that costly, but, it's a big job to build huge sets and things like that, right? Torrid says, and this one's about the Andrew Lincoln question, but how do you think the info about, Rick leaving or Andrew Lincoln leaving was leaked for the original series? So, apparently Collider had announced it first, so if it came from an agent or if it came from somebody at AMC or Norman Reedus' agent, I don't know. Somebody in there, it's not public where the information came from, but some of the people involved reportedly or apparently had leaked it out, so that's where it came from for this week. Anyway, tonight will be all about Fear the Walking Dead. I won't have any new Walking Dead Season 9 videos for you guys, at least not today, maybe tomorrow or the next day, but all excited for Fear the Walking Dead mid-season finale for Season 4 tonight. Happy with how the first half of the season has turned out, but just really not sure how I feel about them killing off huge characters from the first few seasons of Fear, and really kind of like wondering about Madison tonight and whether or not she's going to be killed off, and I really hope not, because otherwise it's pretty much like a new show at that point. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. Do you think Madison will survive tonight or not? And, check back for the review tonight, predictions for the second half, and all that good stuff, Q&As this week for Fear after this mid-season finale. If you guys like this video, please thumb it up below. You can also share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it, and you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.